Welcome to Hero's Journey Physio Fitness. Our mission is to empower, inspire, and mentor people to reclaim their health and become self-reliant in their fitness. I'm your host, Dr. Cameron Hogue. Join with me is my co-host, Annabelle Rios.
Okay, Doc. We're going live in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. All you heroes out there. We'll see.
We'll see if it sticks.
Yeah, it might not.
But
We'll get some feedback on that. For all you heroes out there, this is part 3 of our supplement series. Take it or leave it.
I feel like we're like in a late night TV show now. Hey, heroes. How you doing?
No one's tuning in for. It's past my bedtime. So it's our last of our supplement series. I'm still a little got my allergies going on, so I apologize for how I sound.
Pollen. You get it.
Yeah, all that stuff. So guys, rate the podcast wherever you're listening. Rate it, leave a review, follow us on social media. See the link tree in the description. We're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, TikTok, and
YouTube.
Yeah, and
MySpace. No, I'm kidding. We're not on MySpace.
Not on MySpace. Maybe we should.
It died. Rest in peace, MySpace.
DM us, comment on any of those platforms for future episodes. We do read them. We value everyone's opinion, just not the haters. Y'all aren't even in the game.
You're not even playing.
Not even playing. And we read a few weeks ago from, was it Teddy Roosevelt?
Oh, yes, the man in the arena.
Yeah, the haters
being in the arena, taking action.
Haters are those timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat.
They're in the nose, please. Sitting.
Oh, you're
armchair quarterback.
That's right.
But we do have something. I thought it was funny.
Oh, this was hilarious.
There was a few comments that we read, a few DMs that we got. Man, they cracked me up. When we were doing it, we're all about efficiency, baby. We were shooting. The director said, do this. And I said, you know what? I'm going to improvise, director. I do what I want.
Oh, we made a little...
we made a Liver King short.
To promote the first episode of the supplements. And that's what Annabelle's talking about.
Yep, the creatine.
The creatine, yeah.
And yeah, just, spur of the moment. I was like, you know what? I'm going to use a scooper to stir.
The comments were like, that's against the code, bro. No way that guy just used the scooper to stir. And I was like, out of everything in that video, that's what people came away with? But
yeah.
That's fine.
I thought it was pretty funny.
We laughed. We got a good laugh out of that.
Yeah.
We liked it. We're not bitter.
Yeah. I thought it was funny.
We take good jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, now, we've talked about creatine. We've talked about protein, fish oil, and now to a few more items.
Yep.
Vitamins. And then we'll get into multivitamins and then pre-workout. And then maybe we'll talk about the forbidden pre-workout.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll bring it up later.
Okay.
I saw it on the internet, and I thought it was funny.
I'm in suspense, so that'll be good.
Remind me, forbidden pre-workout.
Okay. I'll do the little
wink.
wink. Okay, so we're gonna, before we even talk about the multivitamin supplement, we probably need to talk about vitamins, and this is gonna be just an overview. Like in school, graduate school, I took a class on nutrition and diet therapy. We talk about vitamins. I'm not an expert in vitamins, by no means, but I do know about them and want to give everyone a quick little overview. That way, you have some sort of knowledge of what they are. There's 13 essential vitamins. If you count them off, there's A, C, D, E, K, and then vitamin B actually has a multitude in them, like thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, pantothenic acid, biotin, B6, B12, and folate. 13 in all. And there are some that are fat soluble, and there's others that are water soluble. And really how I remember the difference between the fat and the water is the acronym CADE, which is like someone's name, CADE, K-A-D-E, and those are your fat soluble. CADE's a little fatty. And that's how I remember the fat soluble. So vitamin K-A-D-E, I guess that spells CADE, is fat. And then excuse me. And then BC is your water soluble. So maybe think maybe all the others are that, or maybe BC, maybe before Christ, Christian, water, baptism. I don't know. Think water. Cade and BC. And as they sound, water soluble means that they're soluble in water. That means B and C. If you consume too much, you will most likely pee them out because you can just drink water. And it'll, you can flush them out. You can, not OD as in like OD, but you can overconsume them, and there are some side effects with that. You're more likely to overconsume and have side effects from K, A, D, or E because those are fat soluble. It means they're soluble in fat, and they stay in like the cell membranes longer because they're fat soluble.
Yeah, so I guess when you drink too much water, you can flush out, like you said, BC.
BC. Okay, now here are I'm talking flyover overview of the vitamins.
This is a high level, 10,000 foot in the air overview.
Exactly. And there's probably more that goes into these, but I'm just, again, hitting the basics here. So vitamin A, think eye. It's essential for eye health. I don't have a cool acronym for that one, but A for eye health. I almost said eye.
Or A?
It should have been vitamin I for eye health.
Yeah.
Oh well. So A is good for essential for eye health. And then you have vitamin D. I think a lot of people know more about this one. It's good for your bones, your immune system, cognitive function. A side note: vitamin D is actually more of a hormone, but you can get it from plants, which is vitamin D2, or from animal foods, which is vitamin D3, or your body can synthesize vitamin D from the sun. So there's a couple different ways you can consume from food, or you can get it from being out in the sun, but not like not roasting out there.
Yeah,
no sunburns.
Not cooking.
No cooking. Oh, and this is something interesting about vitamin D. They have found that vitamin D is actually one of the most. It's the vitamin that most people are deficient in. So most people are deficient in vitamin D and need more vitamin D, which is kind of interesting. And then take it what you will. I was listening to a podcast with I think her name is Rhonda Patrick. She was on the Joe Rogan Experience. She did a lot. She has a lot of research to do with like the gut microbiome, and she's big on vitamin D and was finding that, especially with COVID-19, that people that were deficient in vitamin D were having worse ailments and dying than those who were actually had enough vitamin D. So vitamin D could be maybe potentially really important.
So then I guess it's like vitamin D3 too that a lot of people are recommended to take.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay, then you got vitamin E. E is more of an antioxidant. It helps to protect cells from damage caused by these free radicals. So maybe vitamin E, think extremist, free radicals, protecting from damage. They're an antioxidant. I don't know. Something like that. Man, excuse me. Okay, vitamin K is necessary for blood clotting. So clotting, K clotting. I know it's kind of a stretch, but maybe you can think about it that way. Then you have vitamin C, which is helpful in collagen production, wound healing, bone formation. It's good for your immune system. It helps the body absorb iron. It's also an antioxidant. And again, this is one that is good to take maybe if you're, about to travel or maybe starting to feel a little under the weather. Because again, it's water soluble. I guess you could potentially take too much, but it's harder, and it can really help fight off, like we're saying, any type of infections, helps with healing, especially wound healing. And all
kind of like emergency.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, when all this stuff started happening with my sinuses, and I was like, am I actually getting sick? I was destroying some emergency, just popping those, and they're pretty yummy too.
Yeah,
tastes good. Any questions over those so far, Annabelle?
No, that makes sense. Cade and BC.
And then, so the last one is vitamin B. And as we said, there's actually more that kind of fall under vitamin B. So we're going to talk about those real quick. You have vitamin B1, alias thiamine. And they basically help to produce enzymes that break down blood sugar. So it could help potentially with those struggling with high blood sugar, those who are pre-diabetic or diabetic. B1 might be a good thing to look into. Then you have B2, which is riboflavin. And this is essential for growth and development of like your cells and helping to metabolize food. Then you have vitamin B3, which is niacin, helps cells grow and helps them function correctly. Then you have vitamin B5. I don't know why we skipped B4, but apparently we haven't discovered B4.
It didn't make the cut.
It didn't make the cut. It's not a thing.
It's like Pluto all over again.
Hey, don't talk about Pluto, man. What's that song? We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Pluto.
We don't. Trademark. Okay, then there's B5, which is pantothenic acid. This is good for producing energy and producing hormones. Then you have vitamin B6, helping formation of red blood cells. This one doesn't get a cool alias. This one's just B6. And then you got B7, which is biotin. Most people know this one from helping your hair, skin,
hair,
nails, all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. It's also good for helping metabolize protein, fats, and carbs, but mainly known for its skin, hair, and nails. And then you have B9, which is folic acid, which is essential for making DNA and RNA. And a lot of the times, this is recommended for pregnant women because as they are,
Interesting.
they're usually deficient, and folic acid helps as they are forming and growing this new life that DNA and RNA is essential for. So, and then lastly is B12, and that's great for your nervous system. So those, in the very quick overview, are the vitamins.
There are a lot.
There's a lot of them, and those are deemed the essentials. But
Yeah, and I feel like you can get a lot of these, I guess, in isolation instead of what we're about to cover here in the multivitamin.
right, obviously you can get all these from food, and we're not going to dive into
Which food gives you
which
what?
food gives you what, because
yeah.
that'd be a whole podcast. But I mean, now that you know which are the vitamins, you could go look them up and say, how do I get more folate?
Yeah, like
or-
vitamin A, which is eye. So you just eat a fish eye, eye
Yeah.
and eye.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, there is actually, you can get them individually. Like you can get vitamin D individually,
Yeah.
you can get vitamin C, you can get a lot of the B vitamins, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to lead us into a multivitamin. What is a multivitamin? And it's just like how it sounds. It's a supplement that has a variety or a multitude or multiple of vitamins and minerals contained in them. Now, guys, I tried to find some research supporting multivitamins. I looked through it. I did find one study that showed it modestly reduced the risk of cancer in males, and I believe it was for males who had already had cancer in the past. I might be wrong on that. But there was nothing that was conclusive on if it helped heart health, cognitive function, or anything like that. I looked, and there's probably some studies out there.
It would be interesting to see the population that they were studying.
Yes.
Like their current health conditions, age, and
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
for sure.
It's gonna dictate.
I mean, studies
individual
always
and
have
the
their
results.
studies
Yeah.
always have their limitations, and they should always be taken with a grain of salt. And there's always going to be studies that
Of
come
course.
out and probably disprove things. I did find that Johns Hopkins did a research review, and so what they did was they did an analysis of research, and they found 450,000 people, and they saw that multivitamins out of that population did not reduce their risk for heart disease or cancer. So they kind of looked at all those people and did an analysis and saw that it didn't reduce the risk. They also looked at and they tracked the mental function and multivitamin use of almost 6,000 men, and they looked at it for 12 years, and they saw that multivitamins did not reduce the risk for mental declines, which is, like memory loss or even just kind of that mental sharpness.
Yeah.
They saw over 12 years, tracking 6,000 people who took multivitamins.
That is a good period of time.
That's a pretty long time.
Most studies are months, if
Yeah.
that.
And
Wow.
and again, too, there's also limitations on what kind, like the quality of the study, meaning like, is it a systematic review or a meta-analysis, which is like the top tier, like it has, the most research done in it, and there's less bias in those. There's still bias, or like randomized controlled trials, which, you have blind and double blind, and then you have more of like case studies. So there's different varying levels of the research. This one's probably lower level, but they did track it for a while. And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
They also looked at close to 2,000 heart attack survivors who took a high dose multivitamin. And then they also looked at, there was the placebo group, and they tracked them for 55 months. So just calculate that and how many years that is. Almost, is that 5 years? Almost 5 years? Because 60 months is 5 years?
I think it's close to 5 years.
Guys, I'm a physical therapist, not a math major.
It's like when you have kids and they're already talking about, oh, they're
How old are they?
14, 17 months. So you're like, come on, just tell me. Just tell me in years.
Give me the years, man. Well, they followed this group for 55 months, and the rates of heart attack, heart surgeries, and deaths were similar between the two groups. So they didn't find anything conclusive on if you've had a heart attack and you start taking multivitamins, or you don't take multivitamins. They were about the same in terms of surgeries and deaths. I don't know. It's kind of like, wah.
Yeah, it's like, dang it. I'm just taking multivitamins like an idiot. He's gobbling up all my money.
And then I also found, this is from a nutrition journal, and the article was addressing the nutritional gaps with multivitamins and mineral supplements. And I just thought this, as I was reading through, I thought this quote was really, I think the takeaway here. And it said, the potential benefits of a multivitamin supplement likely outweigh any risk in the general population, and it may be beneficial for older people. Basically, what I got out of that little statement as I was reading through is like, it's not going to harm you to take. Like, the risk of taking it is low. It may help. It may help, especially if you're older, potentially, but it might not.
The way I look at it is very similar to what you're saying, is that if you're not eating right, because I guess assuming that you're eating properly, meeting, all your different, getting all your minerals and your vitamins through your food,
right? And
you're active, you're working out, you're doing everything. Yeah, maybe it's not gonna do much for you. But if you're the average American eating the sad diet, standard American diet,
right?
May help.
The risks are low. I mean, it's not like there's not gonna be any harm that comes from it. But I think that quote just
really
sums
I like
it
that.
up.
That's just perfect.
Yeah, it may be beneficial, and it likely outweighs any risk, and it may be beneficial for older people or maybe those who have a bad diet.
Man, you got me thinking about reconsidering this whole multivitamin.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's not going to harm you to take. Like, that's for sure. But are you getting the benefits that you think you're getting? I think the research says probably not.
Probably not.
So our conclusion is leave it.
Unless you want to drop money, like me.
I mean, yeah. Again, if you can find some cheap multivitamins that the source, and you feel
obviously lab tested,
right,
the best, but it's obviously a little more expensive. So.
Right, and sometimes there is. Okay, we'll talk about this one too. There's a placebo effect. If you think something's helping,
the mind is powerful.
The mind is powerful.
The mind is powerful.
So I don't want to burst anyone's bubble if they're thinking multivitamins have been really helping them feel good. Take it. There's really no risk. But is it really from the multivitamin or is it placebo?
You need to start giving me sugar capsules, Cam, and say that it's multivitamin.
Oh, I should have done that.
You should have done. It's like, man, there's multivitamins.
Right. So we alluded to this earlier, but as Annabelle said, some of these can be standalone vitamins like D and C, and we know most people are deficient in D, so it might be beneficial to start taking vitamin D by itself if you're deficient. And again, you can look up the recommended dosage. I think it's like 2,000 to 5,000 IUs or something like that. Look that up yourself. I'm just going off the top of my head there.
Yeah, I'm taking one, and it's about 1,500 about there.
Somewhere in there. Cool.
Yeah, IU.
Yeah, so that might be beneficial, or taking vitamin C or zinc if you're starting to feel sick or wanting to maybe avoid.
Oh yeah, when I'm getting sick, dude, I bust out the emergency and I pop 2, 3.
Let's go. Oh, also, side note on zinc, you got to eat food with that or it's going to tear you up. Do not take zinc on an empty stomach.
Your family's going to hate you to kind of tear up?
No, it'll make you feel like you want to vomit. Like
wow.
It'll like destroy your stomach.
Okay.
I took it on an empty stomach one time, went into work, and I was like, can I even go into work today?
Oh, okay.
So, again, conclusion of multivitamins, leave it. Potentially do standalone vitamins, DC, maybe minerals like zinc, stuff like that. Wherever you're deficient, pregnant, folate, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, good to know.
Okay, now this is what I'm really excited to talk about because we're going to talk about pre-workout. And I'm going to be completely honest with everybody. I have not been a pre-workout kind of guy.
Same.
And if I worked out in the morning, I would, in the past, sometimes I do shots of espresso, get more caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that is technically a pre-workout. But when I'm saying,
I don't, because I'm not a pansy. I used to roll out of bed and hit it.
Let's go. You're a savage. A Mexican conquistador. But when I'm saying, and what most people do when they say pre-workout, that's more of that generic term for the supplement used by bodybuilders, athletes, weightlifters to enhance performance, maybe increase endurance, energy, focus. Usually you scoop it, and don't mix it with your scoop though. That's what we're usually talking about when we say pre-workout. You could take caffeine or a caffeine pill or whatever, and that could technically be a pre-workout. But yeah, I had not been into pre-workout. I'm going to be honest, before looking into the research, I thought that it was bad for you. I mean, if you look at, here's a story. So before PT school, I didn't know too much about health and fitness. We talked about in the past, I'd been athletic, played sports, done their workout, all that kind of stuff.
You listen to the gym bros.
You listen to the gym bros. And I was home from college. I was home from break, and my brother was like, hey, come work out with me. And I was like, okay. And he goes, take some of my pre-workout. And I'd never taken it before, and I was like, oh, okay. And so he was taking 2 scoops or something. He goes, I'll just give you maybe 1. I usually you're recommended as 1, but I usually take 2 to kind of really get jacked.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Connor was a savage. And so he gave me a scoop of his pre-workout. I don't remember what it was. And we hit the gym. And man, I'm feeling pretty good. Not gonna lie, I was feeling good.
For a few minutes.
About halfway through, I started tingling. I felt super weird, and he kept looking over at me like, "What's going on, man?" And I'm looking at my arms, and I'm like, am I what's going on? And then I kid you not, my heart rate. So typical heart rate's 60 to 100 beats per minute. Mine's usually on the lower end, around 60 or 70. My heart rate 5 hours later was still 120 to 130 beats per minute.
Goodness gracious. And that's why I've been not against it, but I don't want to take pre-workout. I told you the story, but I'll tell it for the people in the air. Back in the day, back in high school. I used to never take no coffee, nothing. Because I was like, I don't want to mess my heart up.
Right.
One day, you go with the boys. We're going to go get some food, go to the gas station, etc. I was tired of that day. Somebody's like, you listen to the boys. Dude, just take a 5-hour energy drink. It'll get you through the game. I'm like, all right. Because, those weekend tournaments, you play a lot of games, you're tired. So I was like, all right, okay, cool. So we get back to the locker room. I chugged a little 5-hour energy drink. I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. You're going through your warm-ups, and then out of nowhere, like you said, boom, it hits you. You're like, your heart's pounding. And I'm on the outfield. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Somebody hit me the bar, do something. My heart's about to explode.
Oh, God.
So that's why I'm kind of I don't know about pre-workout.
Yeah. And also, so looking back on that, I was not caffeine sensitive at all. So, I didn't drink coffee. I didn't drink,
when you took it was con?
Yeah, when I took it with con, I was not a coffee drinker. I was not a energy drink drinker. I've never been a soda drinker. There's no caffeine.
That's me. That's what I would.
Yeah, there's no caffeine in my diet. And then obviously you take this thing that has high caffeine and then all these other ingredients, which we'll talk about, and it just set me over the edge.
It's a scary feeling, isn't it?
I did not like it.
You feel like your chest is gonna explode and you're shaking. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So anyway, that's been our experience in the past. But I've done some research.
It's like, what do I do with all this power?
I know. And so here, I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff on pre-workout, and again, it depends on which pre-workout you're taking. But I got the question: does it work? Okay, so it's promising to increase your endurance, energy, focus, being able to give you that better pump, long term, being able to lift more weights, therefore you'll be able to get stronger and get bigger, all that kind of stuff. So does it work? Man, I only found studies that show that it works. Here's one from the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine. The title was Effects of Pre-Workout Energy Supplement on Acute Multi-Joint Resistance Exercise. And here's what they found. Quote, results suggest that acute ingestion of pre-workout 10 minutes prior to the onset of multi-joint resistance training can augment training volume, increase power performance during the workout. They saw that it did have a correlation to increase power, strength, and endurance, especially doing multi-joints. That's like your big lifts, like your squat and your deadlift, bench, stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
So not just your isolation stuff. Like they found it gave way more of a power output and stuff.
No, that's interesting. What was that thing that I took the other day? You said it was like the gateway drug to pre-workout.
Yeah, it was called like a BCAA energy.
They had like some caffeine. That got me jacked up.
I mean, it's like the baby version of pre-workout. It's got some of the ingredients.
I can't imagine taking pre-workout.
Yeah. So then there's another.
Whenever you do drugs, guys, start
with the gateway.
Start with the gateway and then do half of the gateway and see how you react.
That's right. We'll talk about how to dose up here in a minute.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So then there's another Journal of International Society of Sports Medicine. This was the title of the article, The Effects of Acute Pre-Workout Supplementation on Power and Strength Performance. So they found, quote, ingestion of a pre-workout supplement led to significant improvements in anaerobic peak and mean power values in comparison to placebo in baseline treatments. So not only was there like a difference, they said there was a statistically significant difference.
Wow.
Meaning that you can kind of conclude that they're like what you found was like an actual, it was significant.
Yeah.
And so that is, they saw that anaerobic peak in power, which anaerobic is a lot of your resistance training, maybe even sprinting, stuff like that, where you're pushing weight around or you're trying to push yourself in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's suggesting that it is better than placebo or any other type of treatment.
Shoot. Okay.
The big question is it safe? So we know it works. Okay, it does work, but is it safe? And so from kind of our experience, why we have been, maybe why I have been against it, was that one experience that I had back in college where I felt weird and I had my elevated heart rate. Again, I was not caffeine sensitive. I did.
Same.
I
agree.
No caffeine in my diet, and then you take a scoop of this pre-workout and you just go off the chain. So that is something to think about. But I found this article. This one is also from the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition. And this looked at like the multi-ingredient of pre-workout, the safety implications, performance. It was a brief review. And I'm just going to read this because there's some good stuff in here.
Yeah, we don't want to miss anything.
I don't want to miss anything. So this is what they found. I think this was like towards the end of the article. It said, to date, relevant literature suggests that the consumption of many it says MIPS, but it stands for the pre-workout, appears to be relatively safe with minimal reports of adverse effects. However, most studies examine the effects of pre-workout ingestion they're relatively short, less than 8 weeks. Several studies have examined the effects of chronic pre-workout ingestion on heart rate, blood pressure, and other type of hematologic markers with minimal adverse effects reported. So there's not a lot of research done post like basically 2 or 3 months. There was a couple studies they saw that looked on like more long term. I didn't necessarily find, I'll have to go look up that article, how long they were saying, but they saw there was minimal adverse effects on the heart, which is what kind of my concern was growing up.
Same.
Was why does my heart feel like it wants to explode like a water balloon? So.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like coffee. When
Yeah.
When you've never had coffee and I remember the first time I drink, like, oh my goodness, But then you you adjust, and then
Yeah, you become caffeine sensitive.
And it's kind of good every now and then when you cut out coffee and then you come back in, you're like, wow, you get that same feeling.
I felt like I had an outer body experience when I cut out coffee for 3 weeks and then had it. I felt amazing. It was so crazy.
The first week, caffeine withdrawals. You're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're drugged up.
Right.
And then you drink it again. It's like a whole new feeling.
So, also in that article, though, I do want to pull this out. So, some concerns they had regarding the safety of pre-workouts. So it goes far beyond just merely examining the ingredient list, like what appears on the label, because as several supplements have been found in the past that contained contaminants, heavy metals, potent stimulus, and various banned ingredients. I think one reason some pre-workouts have gotten a bad name, at least in the past, is because of that. There were some supplements that were, again, putting not good, like things not on the ingredient list into the ingredients.
Yeah.
Heavy metals, very potent stimulants, and some banned ingredients, especially if you're like an athlete. Sometimes that can show up on on
your PED test.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So,
which I used to not know that until we looked at it. It's like, which makes sense. I was like, okay, how do you not know that they were put? And it's true, and that's why lab tested.
Yes.
It's obviously the best way to go. Because you're getting what it says you're getting. Yeah,
so if you're getting what the ingredients say that you're getting, pre-workout, as they're showing, is safe, especially if you dose up. Now, if you're getting some random source from the internet, and again, the internet, everything's getting better, getting a little bit more controlled, but really anybody can start a supplement company and put whatever they want into that and sell it.
Put whatever you want in your protein.
Exactly. We talked about protein our last episode, and like you need to check to see what's in it.
Yeah, same in your creatine.
Yeah, you need to know what's in this. You need to know if it's been tested. That way you know that the ingredient list that you're consuming is actually in there.
I mean, that's why I did with my creatine when I'm on creatine, guys. I'm not natty anymore. And that's the first thing I was like, lab tested? Okay, cool. Now I know I am taking what it says I'm taking.
And now it's more expensive for the people, the supplement companies, and that means more expensive for you because basically lab testing means they send it off and they do a test to see like what ingredients, what's actually in there. Okay, boom, it is there, and it's also in the dosage that you say it's in. Therefore, you can slap that label on. But it's more expensive, but I think it's worth it.
For me, it's worth it.
You don't want to be consuming heavy metals and, banned substances. Like, that's not good.
Yeah. And I think we talked about maybe cycling through, maybe having points in time where you're not taking it.
Yes. Okay. So here is, and we didn't talk about this with creatine and even protein. With anything that you do, even lifting weights, your body will adapt and your body will become accustomed. That's why we recommend changing your training cycle, whether that's reps or the exercise, to kind of shock the system. We're not saying do it every workout, but there has to become a time where your body, there's not
completely shocking. You don't know what I'm about to do to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you have to, and especially with what you consume, like how we talked earlier about when I drank coffee and then went off it, and then you have like this really like good reaction to it again because you got off it, your body became used to was not caffeine sensitive. So same with like creatine, same with pre-workout. Protein might be a little bit different because that's it's more of a macronutrient that you're using to kind of hit your protein intake. These are more of your micronutrients. But I've heard, and again, this is do what you will with this, that like for creatine, 2 or 3 months on, 1 month off, come back on. I would say potentially same thing with pre-workout, 2 or 3 months on, maybe a month off. And then also if you're not caffeine sensitive, whatever they say the recommended dosage, do half of that. See how you feel. Then do like 3/4 of a scoop.
If you're not drinking coffee right now, from experience, guys, I would even go further than that. Do 1/4.
Yeah, start small, see how you feel, because I do want to talk about some of the ingredients found in most pre-workouts, and then we'll kind of come with our conclusion here.
And then I'll talk about the forbidden pre-workout.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to hear that. So most ingredients ingredients found in most pre-workouts, obviously caffeine. So honestly, that's gonna be one of your bigger stimulants is caffeine. You also have nitric oxide agents, stuff like citrulline and arginine. That's going to help be vasodilators. That's going to help you get the pump. It's going to make you feel good. It's going to like give you not the vascularity, but it's basically going to allow you to get more of that pump, get the blood flowing. They put creatine in it, which we've all talked about in the past, and we know that helps with performance. Beta alanine, that can be the one that gives you the tinglies. But they have found that is good for power output and endurance. And then I don't even know if I'm going to say this one right. Betaine. I don't know. Betaine. One that was also found to be helpful in like power output and everything like that. Those are going to be your common ingredients. Dosage wise, look it up. Some will give a little bit more here. Some will get a little bit more there. Play around with which ones you buy and just make sure they're tested and whatever ingredients. Read the label. Yeah. Just read your labels.
And if you can't afford it, try to go for lab tested.
Right.
They are a little bit more expensive, but.
So, our conclusion, against what I thought going into this, I thought that I was going to say leave it. I thought I was going to say just just drink some coffee, which you can do. I think I'm going to start taking some pre-workout now and see how it does.
We'll let you know how it
goes. my numbers are going to skyrocket.
I got to keep an eye on him, though.
So our conclusion is take it. Just be careful on the dosing.
Yes.
And which one you buy.
Yep.
All right. I want to hear the story.
Just quickly.
Okay.
I found this on the internet. I watch YouTube, and sometimes the algorithm just gives you saying, and they were talking about the forbidden pre-workout.
The forbidden pre-workout.
Yes, it's a thing. I didn't know what it is. I didn't know about it. You want to know what it is?
Yeah, tell me.
Essentially, it's when you go through, after a breakup, you read the texts. You read the texts from your ex.
Oh.
Yeah.
You read your text from your ex?
Yes. Or listen to music, and it's apparently just, it gets you good. Now, is it safe? I mean, I don't know, guys. I would start easily with this. No, but it was pretty fun. And essentially, it was this guy on social media. Like, yeah, he's doing the forbidden pre-workout. I'm like, what is that? And
it's like after heartbreak, you're like, I got to change everything.
Exactly. And then like right before they hit the gym, they don't even take pre-workout. They just whip out their phone, going through the messages, pop that song. I don't know, their song, whatever. PRs for days.
I just Googled it. It said the term forbidden pre-workout.
What does it say?
Is a TikTok trend about using the power of heartbreak, despair, and emotional turmoil instead of traditional pre-workout supplements. It was started May of last year.
I didn't know about it, and then I was like, oh, wow.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. Again, be careful, guys. Start easy. Maybe just play 15 minutes of that song, or
only read a couple tags. Oh, gosh. All right, so that wraps it up for this episode.
Yeah, and like always, we want to remind you guys, remember, you are human. We should not seek perfection, but daily improvement.
All right, we'll see
you
guys later.
See you guys.
Bye.